And there we are. Welcome into a special Tuesday edition of TigerBait Live. We got a double header tonight. We're going at 7 o'clock tonight. And Preston is going to go at 8 o'clock tonight where he's got Jimmy and Robin Burrow, Joe's parents. I think that's going to be a fun show to watch. So you're going to want to tune into that. Thanks to everybody who tunes into us each and every week. Of course, we're brought to you by Pride Roofing. Thanks to Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez for sponsoring us each and every week. And then I got a special treat on the middle of the table there, an unbelievable cookie butter king cake from my good friend Cindy. And I'm going to talk about her a little bit later on in the show as well. But a lot of talk about, obviously, LSU's rolling in the transfer portal. And, I think it's a matter for LSU of not just that they need holes to be filled, but they need difference makers in the program on the roster, but they also need some players to fill some spots and roles. And so we can talk about each one of those guys. The staff is now full with Coach Hankton now officially named as wide receivers coach. We've got that and a lot more, and it's going to be wild and crazy in the next few weeks. So I welcome in Buddy Songy in with me tonight, and we got a lot to talk about.
Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you, everybody out there. Tuesday, of course, we do tweak these schedules because of basketball, and even though LSU plays Bama tomorrow at 6, there's a possibility it could get into the 8:07, 8:10 range. That puts us at 8:15, and you're just exhausted, especially me when I do TV on Wednesday. So I like breaking it up. You know, Mike, it was interesting. Last time I was here with you, we were talking about when is LSU going to hit that bottom and when will the rebound and the rebuild and reset start. And I think, this is just me, not being Dr. Buddy or Dr. Phil or any doctor, I think we've seen LSU hit the bottom, and now you see the slow trajectory back. And when you get a couple of linemen, one of the things I said, remember, you got to build it from the ground floor, offensive and defensive linemen. I like what's happened with returning players in the last 3 or 4 days. I like the culture he's building, but I like the big uglies in the trenches. And I think that this kid from Missouri is certainly going to give LSU a chance to have some depth. And look, Pete Cardelli, my coach that's been around 40 years, he's in Nashville and Memphis area. He loves this kid Shorts. He said he is a good football player. So right out of the gate,
6'1", he's listed at 6'1". What does that make him? You think he's 5'11", 6'1.5"?
Look, you never know with these heights and weights. No, Wingo is 6'1".
But I like those guys.
Wingo is 6'1", but Shorts, the offensive lineman, is 6'4".
Yeah, Wingo.
6'4", 330. Yeah, Wingo's 6'1" and probably 280. But look, he's going to fill in some depth, and as we've said, you've got to have that.
Shorts is one of the of course he's an offensive lineman. Shorts and Fraser are absolutely the two guys that I'm excited about the most. And I guess with school starting, the hope was that they would get a center in the portal. So then
they'll need that.
So that's a question. If there's not a center that they got in the portal to be in class for spring semester, then that makes it. Who's going to be your centers working at spring practice?
And that's why it's hard to predict just how many games they're going to win. But my main message to start tonight, and I want to interact with all these guys because I know I love it when I'm not watching. I mean, when I'm watching and not hearing, we get a lot of interaction from the viewers. So I want to do more of that. But look, got to get a center, got to get some more linebackers in case you missed it. Baskerville's coming back. Jay Ward's coming back. Jeray Jenkins coming back. Cam Wire coming back. So what it tells me is that the guys, regardless if they were coming back or on the fence, they're buying into what Brian Kelly is selling. And I think the Tiger fan base can start to see the upward trajectory again. And let's be honest, the last 2 years were kind of tough after that incredible year where you did things you never could imagine.
Rick Kelly says, Mike, I enjoyed your interview on Eric Asher's show today. Big thanks for that. Thanks, Rick. I enjoyed doing Eric's show in New Orleans. I'm probably on there at least once a week, almost every week, and Eric's a good guy. New Orleans Sports Talk Radio.
Hey, quick trivia question. Eric Asher, we were in the media room eating food after the championship with Saban. Eric Asher, I forgot how it happened. You got to ask him the next time you go on with him. He got Nick Saban's LSU shirt that he wore that night. I forgot how he got it. He asked if I could have it. It was a medium. You know, Nick's a small guy. But ask Asher about getting Nick Saban's shirt, what he ever did with it.
Okay, can we go ahead and talk about it since he's not here anymore?
Who's that?
Nick.
Yeah.
You weren't here last week after the national championship game.
No.
Did you notice what all of us noticed in pregame interview?
What's that?
What was the deal in the locker room we used to tease Nick before he would show up? The man needs a nose hair trimmer, buddy.
Listen, I probably do as well.
I mean, buddy, you could braid it.
Really?
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, Miss Terry.
You got a 4K TV and they're zooming in. I mean, you can't help but notice.
Well,
I'm looking at my Facebook feed, and I'm not saying anything. And a BFF of mine posted on, like, yep, that's nothing new. I mean, because we used to, I don't know. Come on, Nick. You got the veneers on the teeth. Let's go one step further. That's
not what bothers me about Nick. What bothers me about Nick is that every time he loses a game, he tries to get a rule to give Alabama more of a loophole and an advantage. And now the state of Alabama has changed some rules with NIL. And, of course, at the Saturday press conference, him and Kirby were talking about curbing and making sure that NIL doesn't get out of control because A&M had a better plan than Georgia and Alabama. So that's the only thing I resent what he's doing. But, look, he won one at LSU.
He was in town yesterday.
Yeah, but he's not.
Kalen Jackson and Zachary and visited Catholic High.
Yeah.
But you can turn that around. He didn't visit Jordan Matthews at Woodlawn. He didn't visit Caleb Jackson at Liberty. And so, you know, that's something you can use. But some of the Baton Rouge area schools, you know, need to get some LSU coaches in there as well. So,
yeah.
Storm warning, Mike, ever been told that you look like a young Sean Payton? I get told that. I'm telling you, I get told. Someone said, does anybody tell you look like Sean Payton? I get that once a week.
I didn't know you dated a sensation before.
No.
I mean,
I don't have his luck in that regard.
Well, look, the Saints did their due diligence and won the last game, and then, of course, the 49ers came back and beat the Rams. How about them Cowboys? I'm sorry. I got about 10 Cowboy friends. And
yeah, I was kidding.
I kidded them out
Dre
there.
Trosclair, the head football coach at Liberty. And by the way, Caleb Jackson, I think, is going to Oregon and A&M the next 2 weekends. I think I forget which weekend. Maybe it's A&M this weekend, Oregon next. But either way, it might be flip-flop. So that's an update there. But it's going to be very interesting. A lot of very good 2023 prospects. So not only are they looking to finish off this class, but, you know, when you go, I think Frank Wilson is going to be at Ponchatoula tomorrow. And he's already been there earlier in the week. So he's hitting it big time. I know a lot of people got shook up with a Harold Perkins interview this morning that rolled out on another network. And I tend to think that ship has sailed, but I don't think the effort has sailed.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Things can happen. But that kid is all over the map. You know, on one hand, if you're an LSU fan and you're watching that interview or his last two interviews at All-Star games, you're thinking there's no way LSU's got a shot. But if you're a Texas A&M fan or a Texas A&M coach, how secure are you that he's actually legitimately committed to them 100%? Because that goes both ways in those interviews.
Well, seeing that they've got the number one class and they spent millions and millions of dollars, I think they got to feel pretty good that their money's been pretty good so far. So, and that is the big concern.
And you just nailed it. Is that a deal where maybe Harold Perkins would like to be at LSU, but maybe he's got an NIL deal from an Aggie booster that's $900 and something thousand. Just don't know.
Yeah.
That could be the same thing with Jacoby Matthews. Jacoby Matthews could very well want to be 100% LSU, but what are you going to do if there's some baloney out there where he's getting thrown a bunch of money that it's outrageous and you know, what are you going to expect?
Well, if you remember in football season, we both asked the question, how will NIL affect recruiting? I don't think many of us thought it would be this wild and crazy without any policing. And you know my analogies, everybody is driving 120 miles an hour and there's no cops and there's no warnings or whatever. And so that's why Saban and Kirby, that was so ironic and hypocritical. I mean, let's be honest, Nick and Kirby. And I can't call him Kirby, I'm not so smart, because he finally beat Nick. And how about the year that Georgia had? The Braves and the Georgia Bulldogs, two perennial chokers for years and generations, getting their big wins. So it all comes in cycles. But look, that wasn't close to being Alabama's best year. They struggled to beat LSU. Can you believe LSU held Alabama to 6 frickin' yards of rushing? Does that make any sense? Seriously. After what LSU's defense has done the last 2 years? Crazy.
Barry Barbier, not impressed with the players we got from the first sale of 3 stars who can't get playing time elsewhere. I tell you what, I talked to a college coach today, and I really believe that there's going to be, I think you're going to see a run. And I'm not just saying this because maybe you don't, some of the guys at LSU got in the transfer portal weren't that highly thought of coming out of high school. That's not why I'm saying it. But I do believe that the recruiting rankings from the major networks in the next 3 or 4 years, when you see who's getting drafted and who's not, I think you're going to see how bad they've really been. I think there's going to be a lot of 3 stars. There's going to be a ton of 3 stars getting taken in early NFL draft rounds, and I believe that more than other years. And there's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be an overabundance of 4-star misses.
Let me go back here. So let's just go back and say this craziness existed 15 years ago. Would anybody have been fired up for Jacob Hester transferring into LSU? Anybody fired up about Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming in to LSU? Anybody get excited and psyched and pumped for Justin Jefferson coming to LSU?
Yeah, who was excited about Clyde?
My point is that you don't know, Barry. No disrespect to you or Mike or me. We don't know, number one, that kid's heart. We don't know how much he wants to be an LSU Tiger, but I'll be damn sure I can tell you one thing. You want some guys that want to be here. Derek Stingley was a phenomenal football player. Eli Ricks was a phenomenal football player. And what did you get out of those two? You got one great year of incredible sex. And in the next 2 years, nothing. And I mean that analogy of Derek Stingley, 6 INTs, first team, All-American freshman, helps LSU win a national championship. That's as good as it gets. But it left a lot to be desired the last 2 years, the same thing with Rick. So there's a culture change. There's a new way to do things. There's a new sheriff. The line has already been drawn in the sand, as we said 2 weeks ago. You want to walk over it, across it? That's your prerogative. But you might go bye-bye. So let's wait to see how we judge these kids, because a lot of 3 stars that we've ever dealt with, you know what they do? Hey, they wake up pissed off because they're not getting their due respect. And I can tell you right now, Shorts and Miles Frazier and the deep snapper and the punter and Joe Fouché, I'm just naming all 5 right off the hat. I think they're all going to play. Now, are they going to be all SEC? No, but I just think it's too early to try and judge a guy coming from an other program. Like a Justin Jefferson. You remember, we didn't even know if he was going to get in because of academics. Who could have predicted Justin Jefferson was going to do those things at this level and at the next level?
Buddy, tilt that king cake forward. I want to show these guys. I want to show you guys this cookie butter king cake that a sponsor for tonight's show. And just tilt it forward a little bit. This thing is unbelievable. It's got the little baby in the box, but it's a cookie butter king cake made from scratch. And I'm telling you right now, go check out her Facebook or Instagram page. That's Confectious Delights. It's at Confectious_Delights, or on Facebook, Confectious Delights. And if you want to order one or any of her treats when you see her on Facebook or Instagram, send her an email at confectiousdelights@gmail.com. And that's good, buddy. I mean, this is something else. We're going to cut into that later in the
No,
show.
no, that's you. That's you. I
Buddy,
can't have
buddy
any
don't like
sugar.
sweets, but
I like sweets. I just can't have them. They're bad for you.
yeah, let me put this up on the screen, guys, just so if you want to do a screen grab real quick. That's all of Cindy's addresses, and I can't wait to cut in that a little bit later. But there you go. She's got when you go look at her Instagram or her Facebook page and you see all her photos, you're going to want to give her an order and custom jobs and cookies, cakes, birthday cakes, king cakes right now, and it just smells good. We're getting a diabetic coma just sitting here breathing it in.
Hey, I just want to verify to Barry, I was not making it a personal issue with him and I. I'm just trying to say that I think a lot of fans are trying to you got a 25-chapter book, and this is the first and second and third chapter. And so for you to sit there and say, well, I don't think they should have signed this guy. I called you up and asked you about the ULL wide receiver. And you said, well,
he was hurt a bit, and Cajun fans would say.
But nobody knows how he's going to play at LSU.
Yeah.
Not him, not Coach Kelly, nobody. And so you got to fill bodies. You got to have people that want to be here. You're going to go with high character. You're going to go with a good culture. And so my question to Barry and other people out there is, would you want these prima donna, I'm going to hold you hostage 5 stars versus some 3 stars that are going to get better, take care of their academics, impress you on and off the field, and build it the old-fashioned way? And, I think there is going to be a transition for the LSU fan as this team morphs into a totally different football team. I just don't think we have any idea what it's going to look like right now.
Hal Jubin says, Mike, the men's basketball team got a huge commitment this week, and they sure did. Friday night at, guess about 8:30, 8:45, Marvell Allen from Calvary Christian in Fort Lauderdale, big-time class of 2023. Buzz out there that he could reclassify for 2022. So Will Wade continues to load it up, and we continue to wait. I guess, what are we going on, year 3 now, waiting for the NCAA to announce what their decision is going to be. But it's high time that they get it done or get off the pot.
I don't even think about it anymore. I just thought if something would have really drastically happened, it would have happened. Of course, Kansas got all kinds of things thrown their way, and they gave Bill Self a lifetime contract. LSU tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, ESPN2 at Alabama. It's always been a tough place to play, and we will see. Alabama's lost 3 games in a row, 5 of the last 8, but LSU has not played well in the SEC. They're only shooting 62% from the free throw line. They're second to last in the conference in defensive rebounding, and they're serving them apple turnovers on a pregame meal. They've got to improve on the turnovers, the defensive rebounding, make clutch free throws, and protect the rock. Bama's not playing well. You need to at least split this weekend. They go to Tennessee on Saturday.
And also want to mention tonight, a good friend of Buddy and I, Jacques Doucet, named Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year. Big congrats to Jacques Doucet over at WFB. Well-deserved, works hard, goes above and beyond, always with his Jock Talk on YouTube. And I need to get Jacques in here real soon to do a little special show. And yeah, he's well-deserved. I'm trying to figure out around the state who all was in the running, but to me it had to have been a runaway vote.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He's been my go-to guy. Look, I like Dellinger when he was here. He'd get a lot of stuff on Twitter, and I could use that a lot, spur of the moment, almost every hour. And then Jacques picked that up. He's done a fantastic job. He does the charity work, and he's such a nice guy. You certainly appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, last night
what he brings to the table.
Yeah, he's talking about the new place Chelsea's on Nicholson open up. So he does something like that for WFB. Like, he's into music. He's got his red, rock, and blue, and he's always got his hands into something. And believe me, it just pumping up Jacques because he's a dear friend. But it's one of those deals where I know he's got days off, and if he finds out that there's something going on at LSU, he's going to pick up a camera and go.
Yeah.
Even if he hadn't had a day off in 2 weeks.
Carl the Cat's got plenty of JD stories, as all of us.
Yeah. Let's see, 256 Moxley. I hope the development of these players is great. Getting players whose ceilings reach the floor of the recruits of the Bamas and the Georgias isn't a competition.
No, I mean, LSU's not even competing with a lot of the same players. But guess what? You can, excuse me, you can turn around very quick. And isn't it ironic that Scott Woodward, and I know you have some issues with him at times on what he does and how he does things and all that. And look, we could go on the list with Wi-Fi in the stadium and the concessions and all that stuff. But Kim Mulkey, what an incredible hire and what she's doing in hoops.
Obviously, number 9 today, made the top 10.
Yeah,
coaches poll.
And obviously we know the General's doing great things, but a big one tomorrow night. Then you got Jay Johnson, who's just fantastic. And, of course, now you got Brian Kelly, who is changing the culture. So I think really for the LSU fan base, there is a lot. Softball's still great. Gymnastics been fighting some COVID issues, but they're going to be great again.
You do beach volleyball. You have him on every now and then, don't you?
Beach volleyball, awesome. So, I mean, it's a good time to be a Tiger fan. This has been tough on the LSU football fan, but no, they're not going to be competing with Bama and Georgia this year with a changeover. When you don't have any idea who the staff is. You still don't even have your DC on staff. He's still at house with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I guarantee you next year, LSU will be competing with those teams.
Well, you brought up the NFL right there, so that's a segue. Can Burrow and the Bengals beat the Titans?
Speaking of JD, it's going to be on CBS, 3:30. Oh, man.
Am I wrong? I thought I saw the spread was 2.5.
Yeah,
10.
That's
low.
Yeah, it's low. I want to believe that they can win. I hate to say this, and I know Burrow mentioned this a couple weeks ago when they had that big game and won the conference championship. I mean, the division. You got to be more explosive, and Zach has a tendency to get a little conservative when he gets ahead. But if they go balls to the wall, they got a chance to win. If they play conservative and sit on a lead, then they could lose. But he's been the talk of the NFL.
But let Joe deliver the knockout punch like he liked to do at LSU. That's what the
and Jamar Chase has been fantastic, obviously.
Blaine Smith, I think LSU will try and get at least 4 high school recruits instead of portal players the rest of the way. Yeah, I mean, we talk about Jacoby, we talk about Citizen, of course, Danny Lewis at Westgate. Harold Perkins is still out there, although that seems to, have some either ways to go or whatever's going on in back channels. So we're going to see how it plays out. And then, I think a big thing to me is, how many do they hold back? How many spots do they hold back to use after spring practice?
Yeah, that's
I mean, what is you think, 2, 3?
Probably in those numbers. And I think also a good sign, as I said earlier, is that you got Jeray Jenkins and Jay Ward and Baskerville and Cam Wire and all these guys that are coming back. And so you have salvaged a lot of years coming back along with these transfer portal guys. I think the question that people have, Mike, is, how is this all going to mesh? And that's where you have to have confidence with Brian Kelly and his staff. I'll be honest with you. I was not in the belief that they were going to be able to bring Cortez Hankton Jr. over from Georgia. And what a great job Todd Monken and them did in the second half to beat Alabama. So kudos to those guys. But I think he's gotten a damn good staff. And also, Mike, all those analysts and all those other off-the-field people that he's brought in, along with Jacob Flint, I think you're going to see LSU back in the conversation maybe in a year and a half, 2 years, as far as with the big boys.
Dick Jones, Mike, do you think LSU has the best D-line in the country? One of the talk show hosts said that yesterday. 3 of the 4 played against Kansas State and gave up 42 points. No, I do not think LSU has one of the best defensive lines in the country, although, look, individually, I think Ali Gay still has some potential to grow. We don't know what he's going to end up doing. Jaquelin Roy, Jacoby and Guillory, Mason Smith, Ojolari, Savion Jones. I can't wait to see what he looks like after a year in the program. But, look, there's some pieces there. Joe Evans back. But no, there's no way I would say LSU's D-line is in the discussion for one of the best defensive lines in the country.
I don't think many of those guys.
But I do think there's some players there.
Yeah.
That there's some. look, and that's the deal too, where you look at the star ratings on a bunch of those guys. They should be one of the best defensive lines in the country. So I still think that they haven't reached their potential yet. So there's some possibilities there, but no way would I say that they belong in the conversation.
Well, none of them hardly made all SEC. Georgia is the team. Did you see all those big bodies that could run? They had a nose guard that was 380 that could run. They had big bodies. LSU is a year away. I do think what Blake was intimating is that with Coach Kane coming in here, they are going to have the best D-line coach moving them forward. And so, look, you like Savion Jones. We liked Mason Smith. Jaquelin Roy. Let's be honest. I'm a little disappointed in his numbers right now. I thought this guy was going to be unblockable last year.
I think Quincy Wiggins is going to be like Savion Jones.
Take a year.
Year, maybe two, or is it maybe year 3 that it takes them, and then all of a sudden the light comes on, and or is one or both of those guys strictly third down rush specialists?
Well, they're going to have specialists for down and distance. But, look, Georgia was going into the SEC championship game giving up less than 7 points a game. That's when you can say you've got the best defensive line in the country.
Blaine Smith, Mike, give me 2 guys in high school you're confident signs with LSU. Well, I tend to think the easiest ones are Danny Lewis and Jacoby Matthews. So I think those are 2. I tend to think Citizen, if you had to twist my arm and say where's Citizen going to sign, I might say Auburn today. But that one's not over with.
Yeah.
Jim Milano, I want to rule Mickey up. Here goes. What about Saban's comment to Joe? Jim.
Yeah, I know.
You hit me with a politics thing, man.
Oh, Jimmy Milano, you certainly.
I'll keep that to a few drinks and on.
We have learned,
Jim, in a private chat room,
that it's very hard to mix sports and politics, and really, head coaches shouldn't be getting into that business, and nobody wants to hear what they should have to say on a view of politics. Because look, this is a beautiful thing about sports. Everybody in here watching that's an LSU fan has the same intentions, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of political affiliation. And so you're just asking for trouble. But, Jimmy, we do appreciate you tuning in each and every week.
I will say this. I never can lay off, can I? You can put a fancy name on a bill that sounds great. The Affordable Care Act, my insurance premium tripled overnight because I'm self-employed. It wasn't so affordable for me, and it's still not. It gets worse. So, yeah.
I have nothing to add. By the way, our show tonight brought to you by Pride Roofing. Mike and Alex, you will see the commercial here shortly. I've got the Pride Roofing hat on. They are the official roofing company of TigerBait.com as well as BuddySportsTalk.com. And all of our shows on TV, radio, internet, Facebook, and YouTube. And I know you were excited to talk about their latest acquisition, which is really, really going to make them even a more phenomenal company. And that's what you do when you have the mindset of taking pride. And, that's kind of the word that I like going around. Kim Mulkey takes pride in the job she does. Brian Kelly doing it with a lot of pride. Of course, these guys, and Mike and Alex and everybody and all the people that you've helped and the ones that we've helped, they are so happy that they made this decision to give Pride Roofing a chance.
Fred Jackson, Mike and Songy, LSU's overlooked talent in the state of Louisiana. Let's not forget LSU wanted Dak Prescott as a tight end fullback. Really? Yeah, well, that was Gary Croton and Les Miles. I know there was 1 or 2 guys in the building that thought they were crazy. And then when Les Miles realized that he was crazy, it was too late. And so they absolutely blew it there. And I also remember Dave Aranda thinking Christian Harris was too soft.
And he declared for the NFL draft, so he ended up playing 3 years. And so, but look, we have all.
I've seen offensive linemen in the state of Louisiana go to Oklahoma and be all Big 12 first team.
Well, Big 12 and SEC is different.
When LSU was stinking on the offensive line. And
well, there's no doubt they made a lot of mistakes, but we've all committed sins.
Yep. And you mentioned Pride Roofing. Well, let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Alex.
Were you affected by Hurricane Ida?
Insurance claim, no problem.
Are you concerned about the shortage of building materials?
We have what you need.
We're licensed residential and commercial contractors.
In Louisiana and Mississippi.
We install shingles, metal, and commercial roofing. From Baton Rouge to Slidell or Houma up to the North Shore.
We got you covered. Call Pride, 855-PRIDE-16.
Pride Roofing, the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
And there you have it. And of course, as we mentioned last week, Pride Roofing purchased Crown Metals right there in Albany, a big multi-million-dollar acquisition. So Pride Roofing is blowing and going. And Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, and their group, give them a call for your free roofing inspection. If you need a metal roof, residential, shingles, whatever you need, give them a call, 1-866-PRIDE-16. And so those are your guys that you want to talk to, believe me. Give them a call, like I said, and tell them you heard about them on TigerBait. And with your free roof inspection, they're going to give you free TigerBait premium for a year. You can't beat it. They're footing the bill for it. And so very, very happy about that.
And by the way, they want to extend a happy new year to each and every one of you. Here personally, I have unfortunately lost some friends, including the guy we call Pork Chop over at Manda, Don LaManna. So Don, may you rest in peace. And had one of my listeners, Charlie B, who passed. And so look, hang in there, folks. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you, and the folks over at Pride Roofing appreciate you and want to do business again in 2022. It's hard to believe, Mike. You think about 2020 and then 21, and of course, you're getting over the pandemic, and now you got basketball on the upswing. Jay Johnson, they came out with D1. He's been ranked 3, 4, and 8. Had him on the show. He's just fantastic. A lot of attention to detail. And then, as we all know, the General and Kim Mulkey are turning heads. And Dawn Staley, I'm not going to make any comments about you, but that was absolutely a joke, some of the things that she said after that win over LSU. So all I can say is karma is a beach.
And by the way, hasn't Mulkey done a darn good job of laying off that softball over the plate?
Absolutely.
There was a big beach ball that came over the plate for her and she laid off of it, which your first instinct would be that she would go for it and address it.
She's smarter than me and you.
Oh, yeah. No. Preston says he was stoked for Clyde. He covered it when he was at the Advocate. When he was healthy, he was unstoppable. And
what was he? A high 3-star? Pretty sure he might have got to some 4 stars, but my point is.
But see, and so you correlate him with next year. The kid at Union Parish, Trey Holly.
Yeah, I heard you talking about him last night. A little short, squatty guy that you can't tackle.
You learn a lesson from a guy like Clyde, and then you just you look around. You look around the NFL and you look at the various heights and weights of all the running backs. None of them are cookie cutter. I don't think size matters.
Well, since Preston's having Jimmy and Robin Burrow on, by the way, Robin is so much fun and Jimmy is nothing but pure class. But they were doing a little thing before the game, and Robin was throwing up the L. And, they who dat with the New Orleans Saints, right? Well, they say who they now with the Bengals. And, this is awesome to see this interaction with Joe and LSU and sprinkling that into Cincinnati and carrying over. But I got to ask you, Mike, it wasn't that long ago. What did you think Joe Burrow was going to bring to the table when you first heard he was coming? Urban Meyer told him, you throw like a girl. Of course, we know Urban knows a lot about girls. But what did you think when you heard Joe Burrow was coming to LSU? Seriously.
Well, I think it was a deal where I think maybe all of our expectations had a ceiling on them because we had endured so much mediocre quarterback play for so many years. You know, and it's not like Ensminger had really got a lot of people excited. But I know talking to the Ohio State friends of mine that have covered the Buckeyes for years, they said just wait. You know.
But that's my whole point.
Because their point was like that spring competition at Ohio State could have easily went either way. He could have named Joe Burrow and nobody would have batted an eye. And it was that close.
And he had injuries.
Yeah.
And my point though is this: you never know when you're going to strike it a goal. You and I both specifically remember it. We criticized Coach O for taking a kicker that had 1 year left. Cole Tracy gives you the game winner against Auburn with about a little 5-iron over the crossbar to beat Auburn, and then he kicks 29 field goals, and we saying, well, why did they waste a scholarship on a kicker? He won your game and kicked 29 field goals. Oh, by the way, a deep snapper and a punter from Notre Dame come in here, and everybody's going like, what the frick? What are they doing giving these scholarships? Trust me, these people, there's a method to the madness, and I think, as you just mentioned with Joe Burrow and time, that's the LSU fan is going to have to take some patience pills.
Dane Bergeron, Mike, did you see that the Title IX lawsuit against Coach Orgeron was dropped? I didn't see that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that they dropped Coach O, and I think they only have now
We
about
knew that there was nothing.
five total people getting the finger pointed. Good job, Snake.
There you go. Thanks, Dane. No, I did not see that.
Now, they did not drop the suit, but specifically Coach O was dropped out of it.
Earlier when I mentioned about Will Wade, Troy Davis said Kenny Haynes said nothing will happen to Will Wade. And Jim Milano says Troy Davis, you can trust Kenny because he's a lawyer. Yeah, he's a darn good lawyer too. But knowing that they don't have anything or what they might not have or the fact they've never done anything to anybody with that particular committee doesn't mean that they won't. It's still a scary proposition until they either drop it or – and then who's to say that they haven't been snooping around and they found something else just to make something stick to get him on something to make it to justify their time.
If they try and bring down successfully Will Wade, college basketball will be forever changed. He will blow up the Blue Bloods, and this thing will get as ugly as any soap opera you've ever seen. I am going with Kenny the Shark right now. Tiger Shark, you're the man.
Let's see here.
Carl the Cat, where are you, man? We never hear from you anymore.
Here's a good one. Keith Croncherry, Brian Kelly is orchestrating a total team and culture rebuild. It will not always be like this. Right now, he needs players who can play now. Next year, he will go back to regular high school recruiting. Give him time. That's absolutely right, Keith. Brian Kelly has said that he believes in building the program on kids out of high school. But, you know, he's in a situation right now where they've got immediate needs, and you got to have some guys, you know, to be out there and make it a go for the 2022 football season. So you're right. But I think the hope, though, is that going forward that there's going to be some constraints or some new parameters and guardrails put on this whole transfer portal.
Well, I definitely think they're going to look at that, but I also definitely think that LSU's got a very manageable schedule to start 2022, and I can't wait to see that Superdome packed with Tiger fans as they bring Florida State in. I do think it's going to, and it sounds like all these guys, but I do think it's going to be a process, Mike, and I do think it's going to take some patience, but I think the Tiger fan base, in the end, come August 15th, comes August 29th, I'm talking about that game week, you're going to have a lot of fired up Tiger fans intimating that they're going to be looking at 9 or 10 wins. It's just the way it happens here.
Jimmy Magoo with a good memory. Saban wanted Vince Young as a wide receiver. Absolutely true. LSU led for Vince Young. Vince Young had him. I'm telling you, LSU was way out front for Vince Young, and Saban floated the idea of him being a receiver, and it was over. they were out from then on.
Well, and listen, it's not an exact science. We talk about this with recruiting, and now ever more so, Mike. It's all in the eye of the beholder. But Miles Frazier and Tremont Shorts are going to be two guys that I think have a great chance of being in the two deep and maybe even starting at the tackle spots. We'll see.
Keith Contrary, since Harold Perkins seems unlikely, are there any other linebacker prospects out there? Look, I'm sure there are. That's one thing, because this is going so fast and furious. I don't think we're done getting new names thrown at us. They're out on the road right now. And frankly, the new staff isn't doing a whole lot of talking. They're so busy. And I don't know how much info they're sharing. There's little bits and pieces out there that I've been getting today. But I mean, really think about it. When was the last time Brian Kelly did an interview? So
I don't think that's on his priority list,
no,
and I don't think
and that's okay. That's okay, yeah. But it's also, there are some questions we ought to have. I think Scott Woodward needs a press conference.
Well, look, Jay Johnson's doing everybody, so that ought to look. I'll just say this: Wes Weeks is a kid they brought in from Virginia. I don't think his tape is going to fly off the wall, and you're going to say he's going to start, but certainly remember Matt House is the linebackers coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you should do a great job of improving there. Micah Baskerville did announce that he's coming back. Obviously, we know Greg Penn played a good bit. Anton Sampa is in the mix. I mean, you've got some guys. Mike Jones Jr., where's he going to end up? Is he going to stay inside? So you're going to have some bodies.
Since you didn't jump on it like a sophomore in high school when I said size doesn't matter, I was just waiting. And Jimmy Magoo wins the award. That's not what she said.
I was not going to touch that because I made a sexual analogy with 2019 being orgasmic. So I'll let you have that one. But I was just going to say, linebacker is going to be interesting to see. Matt House is going to be coaching them. And look, we all know that Blake Baker did a hell of a job last year at linebacker. But I think that's a position that will appreciably improve very quickly. And the first thing, of course, you got to get some bodies that can play.
And I want to talk about our dear friend. Well, let me leave this. I'm clicking all sorts of buttons. I want to talk about our dear friend Tony Freeman over at Assurance Financial. If you're thinking of buying a new home, refinancing your current mortgage, but if you haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial here in Baton Rouge. She's a dear friend of mine, someone who many of my friends have used for their mortgage needs repeatedly. Her knowledge and over 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. Tony offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer ready to buy a new home or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best financial decision with Tony as your guide. And not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Give Tony a call today, 225-239-7150. Again, that's 225-239-7150. And please tell her you heard about her right here on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765, Equal Housing Opportunity 70876.
By the way, not a sponsored attorney on this show, but I want to personally give a shout out to Gordon McKernan. Everybody knows that the LSU fan base was in a panic stage, and most people, you heard the overtures that Keishon Butte was going to go and play at Alabama, and he stepped up to the plate and took care of that. He took care of the young lady Morris on the basketball team, and then he took care of, once again, 3 more players. And so he is doing a great job. And look, you say, well, what's he doing it for? Well, he's doing it because he's a big LSU fan, and obviously he's getting free pub from some people like we do on this show. But this is a big part of it. I remember telling you distinctly, I asked you the question, and I said, those people in Texas, remember I said, you're going to have to step up and pay for some of these guys to come to LSU. Well, you saw what A&M did. I mean, they had a layered plan, and this is something that Scott Woodward, he may have been a step behind, but he's going to catch up
Well,
quickly.
they've got that.
But you need the Gordon McKernans of the world.
Yeah, what's that? They have a big NIL meeting.
February 2nd, I think.
That they're inviting everybody to. And
February 3rd.
I think that's going to be a big deal. And I actually do think that if people have been complaining about the unorganization of the NIL deal since early December. Mm-hmm. I think it's already up to speed now.
Yeah.
So, how hard is it? I keep saying each and every week. There's not many components to this thing.
But he did 3 more players that were introduced, and so I kind of thought it was cool. Get it done with Keyshawn Butte, and I'm excited to see what that young man's going to do. Jeray Jenkins coming back, Mike, I think gives you stability. He's a big wide receiver. And then you throw in, of course, number 8, who I just think that Malik Neighbors is if he can stay healthy, he's got great potential. Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas Jr. obviously bring a lot to the table. And so you go on and on. That is a deep wide receiver room. Don't know if Deion Smith is going to come back or go in the portal, but LSU. Jack Besh, where do you line him up? Is he in the slot this year? You're going to get better on the offensive line. You've got better quarterback depth. You've got a loaded wide receiver room. I still think you need to make some progress because all the games I watched, LSU did not have an elite running back. No disrespect to TDP. He was good, but he wasn't elite. And you got to have 1 or 2 elite ones that can take it to the house and be difference makers. It's good to see John Emery back and working hard, too. I hope that young man has his act together.
Now you had Noah Cain and
Noah Cain added, and he's a big back, not going to run away from you. But 3rd and 2, Noah Cain is a guy that is tough to tackle.
There was some 3rd and 1s last year that were embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
I'm just saying all those things could be better, but, are you ready to play Georgia and Alabama, anybody right now? No, but it's a process of being built up, and I think come late summer, people are going to be happy. Also, by the way, if you could, give me an update on Walker Howard. How's he doing, and is he gaining weight, and is he 100%, or is he still mending a little bit?
I think he's better. I think there was a couple other things that they were looking at, but I think he's all going to be ready to go 100% for spring football. So, but I forget the date of Easter, but it looks like I think we're going to have an early spring practice. It's usually they want to avoid Easter break, cutting into it and taking a break. So I think spring football might start mid-March.
Okay.
But usually they want to get it in before Easter, and of course it's got to end by the end of April.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very, very interesting spring, and of course we don't know what our access is going to be. Mm-hmm. So, Keith says, Buddy, elite offensive linemen make elite running backs. Yeah, no doubt. There's so many components that got to get fixed, and that's why Kelly's here at $100 million. Keith Verger, Texas A&M will have a blow-up, too many cooks in the kitchen.
It's going to be interesting because, as we've said on numerous occasions, Jimbo's offense has been like dry, watching paint dry. And I appreciate that comment, kid. I'm aware what running backs bring to the table, but you got to have some grease, some grass to run through. But really, when's the last time? And all you got to do is go back to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He caught 55 balls and a touchdown right before half against Bama, and he had 16 rushing touchdowns. I hadn't seen anything close to that, and I think you got to have 3 or 4 because they get hurt. But it's going to be fun to watch this team develop, and I think you just have to take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. There's probably still some attrition after spring, but you could pick up some after spring as well.
American Patriot, thank you for the super chat, big time. Mike, do you think we go after a quarterback in the portal? Daniels from Georgia is entering the portal. I do, but I tend to think that that will not happen until after spring football, if it happens. But I think they need to. There's still some scenarios to play out, but the scenarios don't get played out until you've gone through spring football.
I think we'll see Jack Daniels a little bit more than JT Daniels in Tiger Stadium this year.
Yeah. Let's see. Kent King, any word if Deion Smith is in classes at LSU today? That's one of those things I need to find out, Kent. That's kind of been quiet. Ali Gay's been quiet, unless Ali Gay did something while we've been on the air. Baskerville released the news today. Jay Ward. So there's been some positive news the last 48 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Cameron Wire.
I think him and Butte sent out
Cam
some.
Wire was big.
Yeah, Cam Wire's good. The only problem with Cam Wire is that he's fought two bulky knees and often had some knee injuries. And look, that's the thing. We hadn't even talked about Will Campbell and Emory Jones and all these other guys. And Mike, I heard you have opined on this. If you don't get a center in the transfer portal, is it going to be Marlon Martinez? Is Charles Turner going to step up? And look, we love Liam Shanahan. That was a great story. But he got pushed back on his butt quite often last year. So they've got to find some better depth and productivity from the center spot this year.
Guys, go subscribe to TigerBait. We've got a lot coming your way. I've got a newsletter going out tomorrow. Obviously, we're in high gear with recruiting coverage right now. LSU basketball, both men and women. Brian Lazar's got another basketball analysis coming later in the week. And he's got a great football analysis that was posted early yesterday morning that I think you'll enjoy reading about how LSU's having success in the transfer portal. So got all that for you at TigerBait.com. Thanks for tuning in. Preston Guy's show is coming up here. He's got Joe Burrow's parents, Jimmy and Robin Burrow, on with him. And so we've got a doubleheader for you tonight on LSU Tigers on TigerBait on YouTube. Of course, we're also streaming to Facebook. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and like. And please go to TigerBait.com and subscribe. Choose the annual package. We want to have you a part of our TigerBait community. I'm on our message boards day and night. So if you've got recruiting questions or you want to talk with myself and all of our subscribers, our community is absolutely growing, and we want to have you on TigerBait.com. So thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. Preston's show's coming up here in a bit. I think probably just hit refresh on our YouTube channel, and you'll see that pop up when he goes live right at 8 o'clock. So, all right, guys, I'll see y'all here same time next week, or I guess well, I'll let you know when it is next week. I'll have to look at the schedule, but we'll be back then. All right, guys, good night.